Welcome back to the channel. I hope you enjoy. I met Lucifer in the desert, part 3. I only had an idea of what love was before I met Yaza, but I never thought I would be able to give that idea a feeling. 6 months ago, I was driving Yaza from her favorite restaurant. It was our Sunday night thing. She was wearing a black draped split thigh dress. It fitted her beautifully. I told her I had a surprise for her back home, and she took her seatbelt off to lean over and kiss me. And that's when the silence hit. The unrelenting silence always marks his arrival. I stared forward, clutching the steering wheel. Lights of the cars in front of me illuminated in the darkness, but they were still. The entire world was still. I didn't need to look over to know those once beautiful brown eyes were now black, and that her body was perched in the seat like some animal that could strike. A cold, paralyzing fear washed over me, separating me from all the joyous moments I had experienced thus far. I closed my eyes, and for once in my life I prayed, not for me, but for Yaza. William, my love, did I ever tell you just how many dicks I sucked before you met me? Lucifer said in Yaza's voice to mock me. I punched the steering wheel in front of me, but I dared not look over. I couldn't. I kept telling myself it wasn't her. I felt a cold hand run through my hair. My head spun like it was being ransacked as the cold fingers caressed me and slowly moved to my cheek. He was reading me, studying me like he was dissecting a frog for science class. There was an awkward silence after he took his hand away. When he spoke again, it was in his voice that I was all too familiar with. Ease your worries. I'm not mad at all. In fact, you've done quite well. At the snap of my fingers, your contract will be paid in full, Lucifer said. Am I number 15? No. I turned my head in confusion. Lucifer was poised like a bird in Yaza's body, the arms posted in the seat as they bent at the elbow, lowering the black eyes level to mine, never blinking. The small smirk never left those lips. Negligence is number 15. Negligence is you not paying attention to how many drinks you had at the bar. You always were a bit of a drunk when you had spare time. Negligence is not realizing you were swerving this car the past 5 miles. Negligence facilitated what will cause this car to go into oncoming traffic, taking your precious Yaza. Your negligent choices. Negligence was my insurance, Lucifer said. Tears came down my eyes. It made sense to me all of a sudden what number 15 was. It raced through my head. I smashed my face on the steering wheel to fight the thought eating me, torturing me. My nose was broken. Lucifer saw this and put a hand on my shoulder, as if somehow that would make me feel better. He pulled my chin up to face him, grabbing my hand. He guided my hand to touch Yaza's stomach gently. I've been doing this for a very long time. And yes, maybe I did just a little bit of pre-planning. I prefer a guaranteed happy ending. Love was bound to make you a bit negligent. Negligent enough to sleep with a former prostitute without using a condom. Oh, how a miracle can grow if you catch my drift. Please, don't make me go through with this, I screamed. If it makes you feel better, look at what I gave you. You didn't even know what love was before I met you. You had no memories worth cherishing. Even your own father disowned you, and trust me, I can sympathize with what that feels like. Without cherished memories, you have nothing. I gave you a life worth having lived, and the kind of life you can hope for maybe again one day. It doesn't make me fucking feel any better, I said as I punched the steering wheel. If that doesn't make you feel better, at least you weren't negligent enough to lose the red book. I'd have ripped your limbs while making you watch Yaza get raped if that happened. It's just my personal policy. Now I must be going Do take care of yourself out there. If you ever wish to do business again, I give repeat clients top priority. It happened all so fast when he snapped his fingers. The sound of crunching metal that followed still haunts me to this day. I lost everything in that wreck, everything that mattered to me. I was dazed and hurt from the wreck, but still functional. I was able to take limp over to Yaz's body. It had been flung through the windshield on impact. I had the diamond ring in my pocket, the present I was going to give her that night. I was going to ask her to marry me. I slipped the ring onto her lifeless finger and kissed her forehead for the last time. I hobbled away into the night, not knowing where I was going or what I was going to do at that point. It's been 6 months since that night, the conclusion of my dark business to one deal, but also the start to another. Once you do business with one dark entity, others tend to follow. You open yourself up like a gateway. My existence was no longer natural that day. I took a deal to live when I was slated to die. I should be dead, but I live vulnerable to everything beyond holy, and there is no sympathy from God coming to me anytime soon. Lucifer isn't the worst you can run into. Trust me, there are far worse. There is a place for people like me, people who have done so many dark deeds that the future can only hold a sequence of dark fates. It's called the Sanctuary, a neutral point where one can find a certain existence that harbors the closest thing to a second chance a guy like me could ever hope for. It's nothing pleasant, a hell unto itself. It's a kind of El Rey, if you can understand what that means. If you do, then we have the same taste in movies. What it offers is prolongment, and sometimes the prolongment itself may be the only relief I deserve, but it's better than nothing. Inside that prolongment may be just the time to think about Yaza and what could have been, might be all I will ever get. But if there was a way to find her or be with her, this is the only place that would be possible. That's where I'm going, and I found out just exactly what is required to get in. To anyone who has read up to this point, you are probably wondering why I would post this series of events that most would keep to themselves. There is a reason. And to the one reader I hope is seeing this is for you. In answer to the why, you will ask yourself when you see me. The requirements to get into the sanctuary are not so easy. It's people with my skill set opting for acceptance, and they will put you to the test to see how serious you are. I have all the requirements needed except one in particular, and that last piece missing is a frequent reader to this forum. I'm posting this as a formal apology because I won't have the time to explain anything once you meet me. In fact, there will be no talking between us. As to the why, you will wonder as you wake up paralyzed in your bed, unable to move. It's for my chance at that little bit of hope that Lucifer gave me. The sanctuary requires someone with certain features, traits, personality, and accomplishments. You just so happen to have them. What I will inject in you as you sleep will paralyze you, but it will also numb any pain you would normally feel. I'm not that cruel to make you feel what I have to do. You will see me in the corner when you wake, but once again, you will not be able to move. You will be scared. That I can't do anything about, so I apologize. You will see me lay out my instruments next to you, and I will begin taking what I need from you. You will be alive for a good portion of it, but by the time I get your reproductive organs, you will most likely be dead. So no worries about that. What you give me will be preserved and taken to the induction committee for final acceptance. Nobody will find your remains as violated as they will be. I will make sure they are disposed of properly and never found, as I am quite good at this kind of thing. I hope this gives you some kind of closure as to why it will happen to you. I am sure you will still be mad, however, and I am sympathetic to that. Life is a bit unfair in my experience. I do have one thing to tell you that might give you something to look forward to. As you lay dying, you might feel as if the world has stopped and everything is still. You might notice my eyes go black, being radiant even amongst the darkness that would normally cover them from sight. You might hear a hissing breathing in your head, or you might feel the cold touch of fingers through your hair. If that happens, then you will no longer be looking at me. You will be looking at Lucifer himself, and he will most likely be willing to make a deal with you. If you harbor a grudge to me, maybe you can get him to include me on your task list you will inevitably get should you take this offer. It's just something for you to think about. I'll see you soon. That's the end of part 3. Thanks for taking the time to listen to one of my videos. I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.